Growing up, there was always a video game genre I found myself crawling back to as the years go by. I can basically call it my home genre, you know, my idea of comfort games. These giant virtual worlds with lore and history attached to them, inhabited by thousands of players that you can chat and interact with, is such a good concept that I can't let go, even to this day. MMORPGs are one of the most complicated genres to get into, due to so many factors involved, even outside of the game, like seeing how much time you need to dedicate to it, if they're even worth your time, and in almost a lot of cases, if they're worth your precious money. This is probably one of my favorite, if not my most favorite genre of video games, and I'll admit it, it's not perfect, especially in this day and age. I see it as a genre that's easily exploitable for people who are very nostalgic or very impatient, and with the modern TikTok attention span, the latter is very likely. One of the big problems I feel like this player base has is finding something new and fresh in this industry, while also giving them that indescribable quote-unquote feeling they get from back in what they consider the golden age of MMOs. Now, I'll be real, I used to be part of that group, and because of that, I sometimes tend to fall into this infamous cycle. You know, a cool new looking MMO comes out of nowhere with content creators hyping it up, we get hyped about it and dump money into the founder packs or pre-order bonuses. On launch day, we end up waiting hours in the login queue, and once we get in, there's a chance we get disappointed because it wasn't what we expected. And then we go back to the one we were playing prior and then complain that the genre is dying, while there are legit people dancing and looking for groups in the main town. I feel like some of these newer MMOs will last you a good bit of time and content, but the future can be very uncertain for them depending on who's pulling the strings and calling the shots. The company can just pull the plug on you at any given moment, and the characters you spent all your time and money on vanishes into thin air. The crazy part though is that this isn't a new thing. This is just the typical MMO enjoyer experience. And a lot of people also experience this so much in the past that they can even tell when a game won't last from a million miles away. It's crazy because you think that we'd be content with the more established games right in front of us, but sometimes we're always looking for the next big thing once we've done everything we feel our current game has to offer. Meanwhile, these MMOs that have been established since the beginning of time are still being updated with content and supported with a decent player count. I mean, they've been the home MMO for hundreds of thousands of players for many years, and I just want to go over that in today's video. Now, this isn't in any way factual, it's just what I feel makes an MMO great with the years of experience playing them. And any video on this genre by me is honestly going to be personal because I can go on and on and on about this genre with the whys and what ifs. Basically, the ashes of creation and new world situation kind of influenced me to make this video because that stuff is tragic, not gonna lie. And also because my channel has been really inactive. Sorry about that. Now, one of the main things I notice about typical modern MMO slop is that they try to hold your hand throughout the journey while feeding you little dopamine hits. I'm talking about those endless rewards, auto-traveling, that little fairy dust trail that points you, or in some cases takes your character to your objective. It's a very low risk, high dopamine type of gameplay to where you can't help but just go on autopilot early on. And I feel like this is where the first point comes into play. The one thing that these MMOs really need is a good balance of friction. And by that, I mean, rather than the game treating you like a customer, always serving you these dopamine hits on demand, I feel like a good, long-lasting MMO treats you more like an actual adventurer, throwing you straight into the world with little to no information and not being afraid to make you fail in their game. A good example of a game that I felt used this trait recently is Classic WoW. To put it into perspective, I've never played Classic WoW, not until the hardcore servers first came out, and then the next thing you know, I wake up a couple months later forgetting what grass even looks like. Classic WoW has a really good balance of friction from the beginning straight to the end of the journey. The fact that there was no party finder at the time and I had to actively chat with people for help or to party with, then travel all the way to the dungeon to meet up with them made it that more immersive. Each new area I stumbled across also felt more difficult and dangerous than the previous one, and I always felt accomplished leveling through them and then traveling to the next. It was without a doubt an unforgettable journey, especially with my friends along for a good bit of the ride. It made me realize that MMOs that were designed with friction or discomfort to the player, like a world that always tries to push you down, makes for the best stories that you can tell to other people who've traveled within that world as well. And the friction isn't about making the game bad or difficult to play, but it's more so about forcing the player to be present and making the rewards feel more earned. But you know, not all MMOs are the same, and they can have a different type of design philosophy when it comes to friction. Like old school RuneScape with its skill progression, the wildies, and its inventory inventory management, Final Fantasy with its marathon of a story, glamour grind, and housing, retail WoW with its gear treadmill and elitists, and Guild Wars 2 with its masteries grind for its world traversal. A quality that I feel can make or break an MMORPG is its world. An MMO's world is basically its identity and the atmosphere that you'll be running around for the duration of your time playing it. And I feel like a well-designed world in an MMO can bring a player to the present and invoke a sense of curiosity. It'll make them want to explore every bit of it, uncover its secrets, learn its lore, or even just find cool spots to chill with their friends in. But here's what I think. I feel like any MMO dev can make their world look very grand and have flashiness to them, but what I feel separates a mid MMO to a good MMO is the way they have players interact with their world. For example, Final Fantasy uses its direct storytelling and lore to immerse the players into their universe. Guild Wars 2 utilizes many forms of traveling, such as mounts, gliders, and parkour to have players traverse the verticality of their world. World of Warcraft always keeping its players aware of their surroundings with its open world PvP. Heck, I'll even admit it, New World did a pretty good job with how they handled the towns and crafting in their game. Rest in peace. But surprisingly, despite its graphics, the MMO in my opinion that really takes the cake is old school RuneScape. I just love how everyone and everything in that game is interactable in a way that it's both entertaining and immersive. Everything in that world basically has a purpose when you right click on it, whether it be of use to you or not. I just feel like Jagex did a great job at designing how to involve the players into their world, and in return, as time went by, the community themselves took it to greater lengths with all the challenges they were able to do with it. Old school RuneScape, whether it was intentional or not, crafted this giant sandbox of a world that allowed the players to get creative with over the years, and because of that, paired with the addictive grind, we have this MMO where the people just don't quit, they only take extended breaks. Having a world that's not just a space you inhabit, but also interact with and actually involve yourself in makes the experience at least 10 times more enjoyable and immersive. And finally, we get to probably one of the most important parts that keeps MMOs alive today. Honestly, this can apply to any game, or anything for that matter. Despite how big or small, I feel like the quality of a community really matters for an MMO in the long term. Any game can have a huge player base, but if a majority of them you play with make you question humanity as well as your subscription, it could definitely ruin the experience. For the most part though, a lot of the toxicity I encountered in these games tend to be around the end game, like the raids and PvP sort of deal. But other than that, everything from start to finish is either silence or some chill small talk. And of course, each MMO has their own flavor of community. They all aren't perfect, so you just gotta pick your poison. And to be honest, I can't really pinpoint every MMO's community and their flaws. I just feel like you need to spend a lot of time to get an accurate representation of them. But from my experience, one of the very chill communities I had the pleasure of being a part of was the Final Fantasy XIV community. Whether it be from playing in the dungeons, chilling in some of the main cities, and even raiding in the end game, almost everyone I've come across in that game seems to be very chill. Sure, there were some salty bunches in the dungeons and trials, but really that was the most I saw in terms of quote-unquote toxicity. Their housing system and community events also played a good part in that community aspect, and because of that, I for sure had that feeling of actually being in an MMORPG. And mind you, this is a game that still has yet to freaking implement chat bubbles. Now I want to say that I'm very much aware of that part of the community outside of FF that are toxic when it comes to criticism, and I'm only speaking through my experience in the game. I honestly hate that so much if we're being real, because the game does have its weak points for sure, but if you look past that part of the community, everyone is actually pretty welcoming to the game and makes the journey through the story very enjoyable. I feel like community is a staple pillar in any game, especially MMOs, as it just adds to the sense of being in a living world with other people. Like I said in the beginning, this video isn't factual and shouldn't decide what makes a great MMORPG. Just stick to what you're currently having fun with and enjoy it while it lasts, because if we're being real, not everything is gonna stay up forever. As long as you're having fun, that's honestly more than enough value for your buck. This genre is definitely in a weird spot, and I know there are a lot of people out there trying to find a good one to sink their extra time into. It's just very unfortunate that a lot of the decent ones that have been coming out haven't seemed to last very long due to very unfortunate circumstances circumstances. Currently, Guild Wars 2 has everything I need at the moment since I don't have all the time I used to without feeling terrible about myself. However, I've also been taking an interest in these smaller indie MMOs lately, like Project Gorgon and Monsters and Memories, so if you want to see a video on that, let me know. But that's really all I gotta say for today. Thank you for listening, everyone. Here are my shameless plugs, and let me know what MMO you guys are currently rotting away in. Hope you all have a wonderful day and night, and I'll see you in the next video.